Alexis seemed to realize the seriousness of the problem too, looking at me in astonishment. Aurora, can you contact him? I shook my head. Both Alexis and I were drunk at the time, only the puppy-like man was sober. He must know the truth. I was in a state of collapse. Ding! Wisnovel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. Not only did I not know who my target was, but I also inexplicably gained a rival in love. And I don't even know if he really is a rival in love. What if he's a lover? With this setting, I couldn't look at Alexis with innocent eyes anymore. He may be good looking, but unfortunately, his personality is too straightforward. It's unlikely that I'll be able to successfully conquer him. Why is my life so miserable? Then you must know his address, right? I nodded. Alexis grabbed my hand and started to leave. But at that moment when our hands touched, we both froze, as if being shocked by electricity, and immediately let go of each other's hands. The awkwardness was self-evident. On the way, I sat in the passenger seat, silently complaining in my heart. Oh my God, it's easier to conquer the main characters than to conquer him. This is obviously an impossible task. How do you know it's impossible? Alexis suddenly spoke. Huh? I looked at him suspiciously. What are you talking about? He didn't answer. It's strange, he can hear my thoughts again. But let's put that aside for now. Oh my God, I might be killed by the system. Suddenly, Alexis handed me a tissue. Stop crying, once we find the person, we'll know everything. I took the tissue and stared at his expression carefully. Alexis, do you know that you're very strange? Why do you always know what I'm thinking? Alexis avoided eye contact. Yuri, easy to guess. Is that so? Yeah. Speaking of which, the first time I saw you, I felt strangely familiar. Especially your voice, I've definitely heard it somewhere, but I just can't remember. Alexis, are you hiding something from me? Yuri, thinking too much. Really? Is there a possibility that you are? Before I could finish my sentence, a car suddenly rushed out from the intersection ahead and blocked our way. Fortunately, Alexis braked in time, otherwise we would have crashed into it. The car blocking us showed no intention of leaving. I wanted to go down and take a look, but Alexis held my hand. Don't go down, something's not right. After saying that, Alexis prepared to reverse the car. But unexpectedly, another car came from behind. We were caught in between. Nowhere to go. The people in the black suits got off the car and slowly approached us. Alexis told me to close my eyes. Aurora, don't be afraid, I'm here. Then something magical happened, he actually drove the car out. I was so shocked that I couldn't say a word. His eyes were terrifying, I didn't dare to ask. In addition, those people didn't give up on chasing us. They pursued us all the way and forced us into a dead end. Alexis led me out of the car and we left through a small path. Finally, we temporarily escaped the danger by hiding in an abandoned house. I took deep breaths. What are those people after? Are they chasing you or me? It's probably related to that IOU. IOU? Only then did I remember that the IOU was still with me. Alexis said as he took out a segment of surveillance video. I just received this. It turned out to be a video from last night when the puppy-like man brought me and Alexis back. In the video, he placed us on the couch and took some misleading photos, then searched for something in the room. It seemed to be the IOU. I didn't intend to do anything with it, so I casually placed it in the cabinet at the entrance. No wonder he couldn't find it. I didn't expect that the seemingly innocent man was the one hiding the deepest. He put in so much effort to retrieve the IOU. I guess if we can't be found later, he will send the photos of me and Alexis. Damn it, if I set him as the target to conquer, who is so scheming, so deeply in love with the other person, and doesn't expect anything in return, then I'm just seeking a dead end, aren't I? I hate it. Why am I the villainess in the novel? I've done so many bad things, so I deserve it. Don't worry, there will be a solution. Alexis said, getting up and looking around. The video is several tens of minutes long. And I still want to see what happens next. But 20 minutes later, I wished I could poke my own eyes out. I climbed up from the sofa and woke up Alexis next to me, asking him to help me remove the bandage from my right hand. Then, like a hungry wolf, I pounced on Alexis and touched him all over. Yes, I was the one who left the hickey on his neck. I'm a real hooligan. Surprisingly, Alexis, who usually despises me, didn't push me away. Instead, he turned over and pressed me down, passionately kissing me. I assent he's supposed to be gay? Something's not right. Although the video wasn't very clear, I could clearly see his erection. He's actually straight. I'm absolutely shocked. The target I've been searching for so long turned out to be the most straightforward person who has been by my side all along. Alexis, who was next to me, heard something was strange and walked over. I originally wanted to turn it off. Unexpectedly, I pressed the volume up button. A scene of social death unfolded before me. The sound of our saliva was loud. Alexis blushed all the way to his neck for the first time. Of course, I wasn't any better. His eyes seemed to say that it was me who seduced him, and he was just an obedient child. The next second things changed. He not only held me tightly and continued kissing me, but also forced me to say that I liked him. And I kept saying that I liked him over and over again in a daze. He was very satisfied and carried me into the room. What happened afterwards was beyond the scope of the surveillance. But I can guess what probably happened. I awkwardly laughed a few times, trying to ease the tension. I didn't expect that you like women and pretty good at it. Something didn't feel right after I finished speaking. It's just to ease the awkwardness, but I also evaluated it. Oops, I said too much. Alexis, who was calm and composed, visibly panicked and had to respond to me. You are also pretty good. How about one more time? Even from a distance, I could feel his pupils trembling. I'm just joking. Both of us forced a laugh at the same time. Let's just say, after we leave here, regardless of what Miss or Butler says, let's not meet again for now. Otherwise, I might really die of embarrassment. Just as I was thinking about this, it started to rain heavily outside. Unconsciously, it was already late in the day. This rain, could it last all night? Alexis nodded. I turned around and looked at the abandoned bed in the cabin, covered in cobwebs. Are we going to spend the night here? Following my gaze, Alexis understood and walked over to start cleaning. I watched his figure, dressed in a black suit, giving off a gangster vibe, but also having a touch of a family man's taste. You have to admit, it's quite appealing. In the middle of the night, the wind and rain intensified, with thunder and lightning. The already dilapidated glass window was blown down and shattered on the ground. I was scared and sat up from the bed, curling up my body. Alexis saw this and quickly came over to sit beside me. He gently comforted me. Don't be afraid, I'm here. I was already afraid of the dark, plus the unfamiliar environment. Without thinking, I threw myself into Alexis's arms. His body stiffened. Then he raised his hand and held onto my shoulder. Aurora, don't be afraid. Aurora. He called me Aurora. And it sounds so nice. What did you call me? I raised my head from Alexis's arms and, under the light from outside, carefully observed his expression. He had a dumbfounded expression, and it was rare for him to be so gentle. Only then did I notice that his eyelashes were long, his skin was fair, and his eyes had a seductive charm. I swear, it's just because the atmosphere in the middle of the night is so ambiguous that my brain went blank, and I kissed him directly. After a moment of distraction, Alexis grabbed my arm and pushed me away. I immediately regained my senses. I'm sorry, I just couldn't control myself for a moment. Just for a moment? What? I slightly opened my mouth. Unexpectedly, Alexis cupped my face and kissed me. Help! His lips are so soft, and the kiss feels so good. I was overwhelmed by the kiss and couldn't help but make a sound. But this action made Alexis lose his sanity. He immediately picked me up and put me on the bed, slowly taking off my clothes. Then came a dense shower of kisses, covering every inch of my body. I held onto his back tightly, feeling the pleasure that belonged only to the two of us. Suddenly, the memories from last night rushed into my mind. Only then did I remember. Alexis was the target I set out to conquer. I have to say, this is great. I don't have to be erased by the system. But why, when we have already reached this point, did the system disappear and not tell me that I have successfully conquered him? Could there be something else that hasn't been completed? In the morning, the heavy rain stopped. Alexis carefully helped me put on my clothes and led me out of the house. When we turned into a small path, there was a muddy area. He squatted down and gestured for me to get on his back. I smiled sweetly and climbed onto his back, hugging his shoulders. He was a man of action who was not good with words. Silently, he carried me on his back and walked towards the main road. In the early morning, the small path would occasionally be filled with the chirping of insects. His back was broad, and there were fine beads of sweat on his forehead. Being close to him, I could smell a faint fragrance. Actually, every time he appeared in a moment of crisis, I had already come to rely on him. Just like now, even though there is an unknown road ahead, I can still peacefully fall asleep leaning against his back. When I woke up, I was already lying in my own bed. Alexis was next to me, looking at me tenderly. I hooked my arms around his neck and planted a kiss on his face. Tell me, did you have intentions towards me a long time ago? Yes. Then why didn't you take the initiative? If I took the initiative, wouldn't you think I'm just like them, boring? I didn't expect you to be so calculating, but I'm unhappy. You watched me pursue others for so long. They're not my rivals, and you wouldn't like them. That's true. But Alexis kissed me again. Aurora, you are mine. For a long time, he let go of me. Are you hungry? I shook my head. I'm satisfied with just you. Alexis affectionately pinched the tip of my nose. Your wish is my command. Perhaps, without realizing it, the seeds of love had already been planted. In the afternoon, I received a photo from the puppy-like man. As expected, it was a photo of me and Alexis. I replied, nice shot, but don't take any more next time. Aurora Joan, as long as you obediently hand over the IOU, I won't release the photos. Okay, meet at the usual place tomorrow night at 10. I avoided Alexis and went to the appointment at night. I want to see what tricks he still wants to play. He was quite trustworthy and brought the negatives as promised. I slapped the IOU on the table. I don't want the photos, but I can give you the IOU. I've already made enough jokes in this world, so why would I care about just a few photos? Besides, those photos is not as important as a video. Then what do you want? I want to beat you up, is that okay? He frowned in surprise. He probably didn't expect such a simple condition, making it unnecessary for him to put in so much effort. I grabbed my handbag and swung it at him. After several consecutive swings, my mood improved slightly. He glared at me angrily, not fighting back or making any other demands. He simply took the IOU and negatives and burned them all. These are what I owe him. He saved me. I hope you can understand my actions. All right, let's consider it settled. After saying that, I turned around and left. It was only after I walked out that I noticed Alexis standing at the door, smoking. When he saw me, his worried expression eased a bit. Aurora, are you all right? I shook my head. He touched my face and then hugged me tightly. Suddenly, he received a message on his phone. I walked forward absent-mindedly, still thinking about the disappearance of the system. There were only a few days left for the mission. I won't be erased, will I? I just tasted the sweetness of love. And with Alexis, such a considerate and handsome boyfriend, I won't be able to find someone like him in the real world. I want to be with him for a long time. I tried calling out. System, are you there? To my surprise, the Alexis behind me spoke. I'm here, I've always been by your side. I slowly turned around. Alexis looked at me affectionately and said, Congratulations, Aurora, you have successfully completed the mission. So you really are the system. He nodded. Originally, I only wanted to help you complete the mission, but I didn't expect to be the one being conquered. Aurora, I like you. Will you be with me? I smiled and threw myself into his arms. I will. I never expected that in the BL novel world, I would end up with the system.